I'm trying to wrap my head around as we figure out what's next for Phillip Rivers. I mean, that's a tough question because Phillip Rivers obviously is an iconic quarterback for this generation, and he'll be in that Hall of Fame conversation. But Phillip Rivers last year particularly was not a great quarterback. He cost the Chargers several games. And so we've seen obviously some great from Phillip Rivers. Of late, we've seen some bad from Phillip Rivers. And now he hits the open market. And I simply don't know if there's a ton of open market for him.
Phillip Rivers had a very Jameis Winston-esque season last year,
He
right?
did.
And obviously Phillip Rivers has a far greater body of work than Jameis does, so that's not to liken them as players, but as far as his carelessness with the football, and I think the thing worth noting is you were working in an offense that had Hunter Henry, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You have weapons all over there, much the same way that Jameis Winston did with Mike Evans and Godwin and Cameron Braid and O.J. Howard. Neither of these guys lacked for places to throw the football in this one. Phillip got Melvin Gordon back. The offensive line's always been an issue, but all things considered, this was a year where even for a guy who is, a guy prone to take risks, he was downright careless with the football a lot, and it killed them.
He was. A lot of people talking about, moving to Florida, so you look at the Florida teams. You look at Miami, you look at Tampa Bay. You only look at Tampa Bay if they're going to move on from Jameis Winston, right? If they re-sign Jameis Winston, then that's fait accompli. It's done. Okay?
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to have them both. In Miami, you got Fitzmagic there right now. Says he wants to come back and play. Doesn't turn the ball over like Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is going to go down in history. He's obviously a better quarterback, but you willing to make that move now from one old quarterback to get rid of one old quarterback and bring in another?
The only thing you start to get into, and this is what we've had with the Brady conversation, less so because we know Tom's not really about this as much, but how much do you value if you're a team like Miami who in this is still going to look and probably try and use that 5th overall pick to take Tua or whoever, insert your quarterback of the future. It's going to be Tua. How much do you value the room that you create for the guy that's the future of your franchise? And that's not a slight on Fitz, but more a notch in Phil's belt to say he is by far the better quarterback in this situation. If you want a guy for your young star to learn from, why would it not be Phillip Rivers?
Yeah, but go
ahead.
Fitzmagic, at some point, though, not only did he have some success with this team, but this team knows him. So there's sort of who he is in the locker in the quarterback room, to your point. He knows this offense. He is that guy that's the consummate sort of mentor, teacher, all of these things. So sort of the devil you know versus the devil you don't, coming off a quarterback with a career low and a touchdown with the touchdown percentage and one of his highest interception percentage rates of his career.
I mean, Phillip Rivers would want no part of that situation, right? If you're Phillip Rivers at this point, you want to play for another 2 years max, I think is what he said. You're trying to go to a contender.
Listen, I mean, we're just, killing time here saying some of the other teams. It's the Colts. Right? I mean, it's the Colts. He and Frank Reich have a great relationship. Reich was with him with the Chargers in San Diego. They're together. You have Jacoby Brissett, who is going to be a backup to Andrew Luck. He was a starter this year, but he's nowhere near making starter money. What, about $15 million a year? We've seen $15 million, $20 million backups in the league.
Well, especially for Indy, who's drowning in cap space.
Oh, it's exactly
still.
right.
Yeah.
He goes there. They have that relationship. If he starts turning the ball over again, if you have the fear that it's his arm and he's turning the ball over, you put Jacoby Brissett back in. You have him under contract. He's not going anywhere. You have a great offensive line. You have a running game, and you have a defense that was better than people thought. To me, it would be a no-brainer for you to give it a shot. Depends on how much money. As you mentioned, you got tons of cap space because it will cost you a little bit, some money, even though it'll be a short deal. To me, that's the place you go because Jacoby Brissett is used to being the backup, probably won't be happy about it, but understands they've already said they're bringing in competition. They're bringing in other quarterbacks.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett knows how the game goes.
Exactly
he had his
right.
chance to cement himself as a starter last year, and
this
it didn't
to me,
work.
Unless you can think of another guy they want to bring in and sign a younger free agent to take over full time there for the future, or they're pretty close right now. Do you see if Phillip Rivers has a little bit of that magic left and doesn't turn the ball over and sign him there?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube, and for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app, and for premium content plus live streaming, make sure to subscribe to ESPN Player.